kind of what I like paying attention to coming into the market is kind of the liquidity at the previous sessions left for us to take. I'm also seeing how the daily opened up, so I'm going to 12 a.m. here. This is a confluence I like using. Where's the 12 a.m. candle? And kind of what I'm observing already is that we opened, traded higher, generated buy side liquidity here. And what I'm looking for is a rebalance in price to continue this trade towards all-time highs. That's kind of the bias I'm getting on the higher time frame. You guys can clearly see we left this overextended leg. So if I were to mark from the swing low to the swing high, we have a couple of fib levels to pay attention to. And what's resting at these fib levels is these two 1 hour gaps, right? These unfilled bullish gaps. So if I could see a reaction out of this gap, right, in a potential entry model, I already know that all my draws exist up here, right? We left these relative equal highs here, this LRL. And what I'm hoping for is that at open, we either manipulate higher, right? Either manipulate higher, leave this unfilled, and then we're able to deliver lower before potentially trading higher. Or if off open, we leave these draws, right? We leave these draws intact, rebalance this range, and then see a potential long out of this. Now here's something important that I want to cover. You guys can see that during Asia session, I did take a short pre-market to Asia, right? Because I knew that from this area, we were likely going to deliver towards this 4-hour intermediate low. But we never did that, and that's fine, right? We did deliver to the AM key open. And I was looking for a long out of this range, which I never really got an opportunity because we had equal lows here. I wanted to see these equal lows potentially get taken out, deliver to this 4-hour gap, and then for price to deliver higher. Formulating a bias around the data we have, and as you guys can see, that never happened, so there was no trade for me. And then pre-market to London, all we did was pump, right? London also pumped. And then pre-market to AM session, we just kind of chopped around, left buy side liquidity, and we left this really overextended leg. There was no real pullback here, and you guys can see we have equilibrium here, right below London low. So what we could expect is for London low to get swept, rebalance the EQ or OT of the range, and then potential entry model out of this area. And then all-time high would be our prominent draw. Now pay attention to this. This 1 hour gap would have been our condition. So if this 1 hour gap held, I'm convinced that price is going to push higher. Why am I convinced? Because we have buy side liquidity here, and we have the prominent draw of all-time highs here. So given the opportunity, you guys could take longs towards these draws, or you could hold runners towards these all-time highs. So let's go to the 5-minute and then see how market opened. So here is 6:10 a.m. right now. 6:15, 6:20. You guys can kind of see where looks like we're gonna push these highs, but let's see what really happens. And right here at open, we end up dumping and we end up leaving all these draws on liquidity intact. So these are a good target. So here we are tapping into equilibrium of this range, but there is no real entry model yet, right? So we're just gonna keep skipping. And then we open up this 5-minute bearish gap. And remember, we're not looking to take shorts here. We are looking to take longs. So us trading into this bearish gap, why would I be longing inside a bearish gap, right? So this is not enough confirmation to take longs. And then right here, this 5-minute gets inversed. So this becomes an IFVG. And a lot of people did take longs here. This was a long setup. And like I said, you can either target like a 1-to-1 risk to reward, or you could go for all-time highs. So this was the potential setup using your guys' model. And you guys can see this did play out for a 1 to 1.8, almost a 1 to 2. Let's see if it delivers to all-time highs. I'm not sure if it did or not. and it did deliver to all-time highs. So this would have played out a lot of if you guys want to know a little bit of our model, we did not take this 5-minute inversion. We actually ended up taking the trade out of the bottom here. So we knew this range would get rebalanced, and all we needed was a potential rejection. So there was this 3-minute rejection, this rejection wick, and this right here could have been a potential entry as well. And then you would have been able to go break even at this 5-minute gap here, right? So here we have entry, and then we have break even as soon as we tap that 5-minute gap, and we're aiming for the same draws as the previous traders. So price trades here, we get a large rejection. We're able to enter off price here because we have equilibrium as a confluence, right? We already tapped equilibrium. I'm assuming ES tapped OTE, so that leaves us with the bullish SMT inside of this gap. We start trading into this 5-minute gap. I'm able to now de-risk completely, break even here, and then let this trade play out. And you guys can see it instantly ran through that 5-minute bearish gap, and it ended up delivering to all-time highs. So that was a solid trade setup this morning. That was fire. That was a 1 to 5. So just different entry models, different risk to rewards, but overall we use the same structure in the way we build our bias. Everybody was assuming longs out of this rebalance. It's just how did they take those longs is a little different. How much they're risking and the entry model itself is always going to be different. But yeah, that was sort of the assumption, right? Using this condition that we're going to trade higher. I was actually waiting for this condition to get filled during London so I could take a long, but we ended up just generating all this buy side, and then New York AM was the session to deliver these highs. So yeah, that's kind of solid. Let's see what the 7 AM key open did. We opened up a 15-minute gap here. Small 15-minute gap. Do we have a BPR here? Yeah, I think that's all we have there. We have this 5-minute bullish gap as well here. So we had these two conditions, and price, again, we have another range here from the swing low to the swing high. We trade to OT, fill these gaps, and then we actually get a 5-minute inversion. This would have been a solid model, right? Long here at the swing low, stop here, and then you'd be delivering to all-time highs. So that was a second entry there, using the 7 AM as a direction. So that's something to look at. And then once you took these draws, I would just wait for structure to start building because now you have no draws to look for. But that was solid. That happened all before 9 o'clock. So before the session ended, you guys had two potential trade setups here. Again, your guys' entry model will look differently. I would have taken the entry somewhere down here. This would have been my entry. And then I would have longed this candle, and then I would have targeted the same exact draws here. It's a lot riskier, but it plays out for more RR, which is the difference between a higher win rate and a lower win rate, but you get more RR out of it. And yeah, that's the PA for this session. A lot of our members actually took the long out of this low here, and they delivered to all-time highs. That was an insane setup, and yeah.